Hi there. My name's Greg, and I'm with Real Talk Johnson County. Our whole goal is to promote healthy conversations and awareness of the diversity in Johnson County through storytelling. And today, we have Mica with us. Mica, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. My name's Mica. I'm 23. I'm a recent Franklin College graduate in performance arts, and I am a black trans man in Johnson. Well, I was a black trans man in Johnson County. So glad to be here
Yeah,
today.
thanks for joining us. So, teenage years are sometimes some of our most formative, and we have really important experiences during those times in our lives. So, tell me a little bit about what your teenage years were like, some of the highs, lows.
Okay, so I was actually raised very sheltered. And so, like, my teenage years were mostly at home. I remember specifically one summer, I'm about to go to high school. My mom's like, let's get my kids ice cream. And I'm like, okay, I enjoy this. And she's all like, you like that ice cream? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, great, you're being homeschooled. So, took me right out of public school, put me back in the house. Um, I didn't really get to do a lot of the things a lot of other kids got to do. Like they get to walk around and have a job. My mom was very much anti-job, anti-walk. I did not take my first walk alone till I was 19. I didn't have my first phone of my own till I was 19. So I was very much that sheltered black kid, white town, I guess. So that's my teenage experience, honestly. I didn't do much, but I was very much like into art. So I'd draw every day, I'd sing sometimes, I'd write, I'd do just everything.
And that's something as a white person myself that if you were raised white, right? That's something that with our privilege we have the ability to not look at things and not pay attention because it doesn't really impact us as much. And so that's a fascinating perspective. So you talked a little bit about seeing things in the media, and as we're trying to have healthy conversations about race and increasing the appreciation of diversity that we have in Johnson County. Sometimes those conversations for folks that maybe aren't as well versed in topics kind of have a knee-jerk reaction to certain topics in the media. Black Lives Matter is one of those topics. I think that when people hear it, if they're not educated, they go one way or the other. And so, tell us a little bit about your experience or your perspective on Black Lives Matter.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like that whole whitewash thing, I was very whitewashed. So the first time I heard it, I was very confused. And I was a clown and ignorant. And I remember making a Facebook page like Black Lives Matter. And then like someone's like, All Lives Matter. And I was like, you're right. Maybe I was wrong. And I'm like, no, I wish I could go back and just get rid of it forever. The post is not there. So maybe younger me knew what he was doing was like, we're going to delete that. But
What do you think it is that holds folks back that are for Black Lives Matter, but they're not being as bold as what they could be. What do you think is holding them back?
I think it probably depends on the setting you're in. Because I feel like for teachers, when I was in class, it feels like they wanted us to speak up more. But as a student, when you're raised in the system that does not want you to speak up or talk back, you're not going to talk back. It's up to teachers. But teachers want to help you grow and stuff. I think it really does depend on the setting because, like, like I said, like you feel comfortable honking because you're in a car, you're on the road. It's easy to honk and get away with it. Nothing's bad with honking right now. But then, if you're in a class and you're one of the few people of color and you're surrounded by white people who might have like other marginalizations against them or be oppressed in other ways, but then all you can do is turn to the other person of color and be like, you hearing this? You hearing this? And they're like, bro, I'm just trying to make it through my Monday. You're like, bet. And you just let it go.
For teenagers in Johnson County who may not have a whole lot of exposure to diversity and people of color, whether it be at their school or in their neighborhoods or in their personal lives, what do you hope what would you hope they would understand about Black Lives Matter? If you could share one thing that's really important to understanding Black Lives Matter for those students, what would you share?
There's somewhat a disparity in like access to, well, there's a big disparity in access to knowledge. Um, and that's not fair. But like You don't have to know everything about Black Lives Matter to believe Black Lives Matter. Um, and sometimes you saying Black Lives Matter as a black person is just waking up and living your day. Because, like, the oppressive system and the ancestors who made it do not want you to succeed. So sometimes Black Lives Matter is just breathing, taking a breath, walking away from the movement and coming back later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-awareness and accountability and learning is
Yeah.
really the first step, in my experience, right? In in treating people better, really, and again, um, promoting healthy conversations, right, and appreciation of diversity. So, in this state of the world that we're in right now, right, pandemic, and challenges happening in our capital, it's easy to lose sight of hope. So
Yeah.
as you reflect on on the state of the world right now, and maybe your life in general, what gives you hope? What do you cling to?
Oh my goodness. Being angry. Oh my goodness. I know it's weird to say, like the energy. Like in the words of Common, this stuff doesn't happen quickly. It takes the wisdom of the elders and the young people's energy. I believe that so much.
So, knowing that teenagers will hopefully will see this, these videos. If you could give one piece of wisdom or share one tool that you have had in your life that's really been impactful, what would you share with them?
Um, Make friends with people of color um, who see you and validate you. Because, sure, I grew up around some black people, but a lot of the black people I grew up around said I talked white, acted white. And then I get to college, and like I feel like people thought that somewhat, but no one ever told me that. No one ever questioned my blackness. No one validated it, whether they were of color, white, or black. And so I felt a lot more comfortable and open. So I was gonna say, just like the one thing I could pass on is like find people who respect you enough to call you by what you want to be called or address you as you wish to be called.
Well, Micah, thank you so much for sharing your story. We greatly appreciate it. Again, our goal with Real Talk Johnson County is to promote healthy conversations and awareness of diversity in Johnson County. And our hope is that these conversations don't end after this video does. For real change to happen, we have to be intentional about listening to others, learning about their experiences, and doing our own learning and self-reflection. So we hope that you'll take those actions and have some conversations. Thank you.